Hey guys again. Sorry, this camera on my phone is really crappy. Anyway, if you didn't catch the last video that I uploaded yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about all the crazy shit that's going on and what they're doing and how it is brainwashing everyone and people are insane. I just wanted to point out, actually on Wikipedia you can find this under the category media manipulation. You might have to look a little bit, but it's on there. So I just wanted to read this to you so you can see what it is. So you might hear a lot of people talk about like, oh, that's all propaganda or psychological warfare or whatever, but a lot of people hear these terms and they don't quite understand it. So I'm just going to read to you what propagandizing is. It's a real thing and they're doing it constantly. When you open up your YouTube, that's the first thing you see is all these stupid articles, CNN, corona, all over the place, right? Facebook, newscasters are all saying the same speech from their teleprompter. This is legitimate propaganda. Okay, so let's see. Propagandizing. Propagandizing is a form of communication that is aimed at influencing the attitude of a community towards some cause or position by presenting only one side of an argument. Sound familiar? Propaganda is commonly created by governments, but some forms of mass communication created by other powerful organizations, aka the CDC, the WHO, can be considered propaganda as well. As opposed to impartially providing information, propaganda, in its most basic sense, presents information primarily to influence an audience. Okay, that's basically the definition. Propaganda is usually repeated and dispersed over a wide variety of media in order to create the chosen result in audience attitudes. While the term propaganda has justifiably acquired a strongly negative connotation, wonder why, by association with its most manipulative and jingoistic examples, aka Nazi propaganda, they use that to justify the Holocaust. That's another video I need to post because a lot of people here obviously know about the Nazis and Hitler and the Holocaust. But the same thing that's happening in our world right now are the same exact tactics, literally, that Hitler used. So we'll get into that. Propaganda in its original sense was neutral and could refer to uses that were generally benign or innocuous, such as public health recommendations, signs encouraging citizens to participate in a census or election. I mentioned yesterday I keep getting those census forms in my mailbox, don't fill them out, or messages encouraging people to report crimes to the police, among others. Also, I believe I mentioned in a video how they are pushing for people to report their neighbors. Thank you so much for turning them in. That was yesterday, the whole manipulation, the abuse. Propaganda uses societal norms and myths that people hear and believe. Because people respond to, understand, and remember more simple ideas, this is what is used to influence people's beliefs, attitudes, and values. So this is pretty horrible. Also, psychological warfare is what I believe is a whole nother ball game that we're dealing with because it's much more dangerous. If you know psychology at all, just so you know, this is why children are so easily influenced. Up until the age of 7, between 5 and 7 actually, is when they're the most vulnerable for brainwashing, influencing. If you notice, a lot of perverted ideas in the world, the whole transgenderism, making everything normal, children, drag queens, confusing the genders, everything like that. There is a major push on our kids. So people need to be aware of that. And then, that's a whole nother video. All right, sorry, I ramble a lot. All right, psychological warfare. Psychological warfare is sometimes considered synonymous with propaganda. The principal distinction being that propaganda normally occurs within a nation, whereas psychological warfare normally takes place between nations, often during war or Cold War. Various techniques are used to influence a target's values, beliefs, emotions, motives, reasoning, or behavior. Target audiences can be government, organizations, groups, and individuals. This is literally what we're dealing with right now because they are influencing everyone's values, right? We value being together. We value our faith. If we have faith in God, we value that goes into our beliefs, our emotions. They like to push that fear. Our motives, we want to do good, or people who are really empathetic people and just not assholes. We care about people, so they're messing with our emotions to make us change our motives and go with theirs. Going into the reasoning, right? Oh man, I really want to see my kid, but I have the sniffles, so I'm going to sleep in the garage for 26 days or whatever. And then ultimately, all these things together influence your behavior. It's very dangerous. This tactic has been used in multiple wars throughout history. During World War II, the Western Allies expected for the Soviet Union would drop leaflets on the US and England. During the conflict with Iraq, American and English forces dropped leaflets. I remember that. And many of the leaflets telling the people how to surrender. In the Korean War, both sides would use loudspeakers from the front lines. In 2009, people in Israel in the Gaza war received text messages on their cell phones threatening them with rocket attacks. That is horrible. It's used to spread fear and panic because when people are afraid, they are much more easily controlled. Now, if you notice, more and more people are getting fed up. More and more people are realizing what bullshit this is, and people are going outside. So let me show you something. People are going outside saying, screw you to everything. So what better time to introduce this psychological tactic? If you haven't heard of it, they're calling them murder hornets. That's not even their real name, you guys. Their real name is the Asian giant hornet. They're huge and disgusting. You can get stung a lot of times. You can die. They're gross and dangerous. But the propaganda and the psychological warfare, look what happens when you open up Google and the top stories are murder hornets. Just how dangerous is a murder hornet? Panicked over murder hornets. You put the word murder in there instead of just giant hornet, and what does that make people do? They make people scared. So again, how can people not see that these hornets are not new either? If you look in Asia, Southeast Asia, you'll find them everywhere, and they're not called murder hornets. This is what I showed you guys. Psychological warfare and propaganda. Okay, so don't be scared thinking now like, oh man, I'm getting ballsy, I'm going outside, this is all bullshit. And then now, I'm sure there's people who open shit like this and they're like, oh my God, I was so on board with going outside and getting some fresh air and not wearing a mask like an idiot when I'm out on a jog. But now that there's murder hornets, what better way to push someone back in their home, right? So that way, the threat will be literal and physical and in the air, and you can get stung at any time. It's another tactic. Don't fall for this, you guys. Let me know if you have heard of any other bullshit ideas that these crazy psychos are pushing on everyone. All right, stay safe. Educate yourself if you haven't already, and I'll be bringing you the other ones that I've yet to upload. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.